All right, we're in Math 119, Project F. All right, let's, again, for the students who want to do Jupyter notebooks, I think we've covered that enough times that you can do that if you want to do that. I think you probably know I want to use the terminal at this point. All right, so kind of just an overview of using a terminal. What I'm going to do is, launch Sage. It's in my dock. Click on it. And what I want to do is the terminal application command line. Again, I want to remind students, if you have a Jupyter, if you want to use Jupyter notebooks, you need a place on your computer to store the Jupyter notebooks. Typically, you would store that in the Documents folder on most people's computers. But wherever you want to store it, doesn't really much matter. But you need to initially select that before you do that. Again, I'm doing command. It's going to go to command prompt now. All right. By the way, I notice I have another session open. I want to show you how to close out Sage. Just go exit, and this will close out that session of Sage. I'm going to close that window. Now, again, the point of this is over here. We're expecting you to read through this material. All right. Now, in Math 119, you talked about inverses and you talked about determinants. And there's a relationship between inverses and determinants. Right. Now, what I want to do is just go through, the code, but I'll be honest with you, I'm getting a little bit better at using Sage. So the first thing I want to do is I want to type in reset. And I want to verify what they're saying me to verify over here. I notice there's variables here. And that's A, B, C, and D. So I'm going to say A, B, C, D are variables. Now, in the past, I've always been using single quotes to quote each variable separately. But you can use one quote and then just simply take your variables and put them all into one quote. All right, instead of doing it individually. So I'm saying A is a variable, B is a variable, C is a variable, and D is a variable. All right, hit enter. Now I want to define the matrix A. I'll put this down for you. A is a matrix. And again, we just did this last time. And what's that matrix going to be? Well, it looks like the first row is AB. And it looks like the second row is CD. Hit enter. And I'm going to display A for you. Yeah, A, B, C, D. All right. Now, I want to put down a matrix B now. And what's matrix B? B is going to be a matrix. And let's write this down. I'm going to say B is a matrix. And the matrix is, the first row is D, comma, minus B. The second row is minus C, comma, A. Let me display B. And I want to just look back over the notes and tell you what this is. This is what we're talking about over here, just this matrix here, which is D minus B minus C, A. All right? Now, what do they want me to do? They want me to verify. All right? They want me to verify something. And so I'm going to write down what they want me to verify, that 1 divided by, we call this thing the determinant of the matrix A. Let me write that down for you. So I'm going to say K. K is not a variable, by the way. K is now a parameter, and it's a constant. And what is it equal to? 1 divided by the determinant, DET, of A. Now, if you want, you can display K by just typing K, and now K would give you that. Now, by the way, someone says, well, I'm looking at that, a little confused by that, because it's not exactly written in the notes. It's equivalent, though. In the notes, what do I have down? 1 divided by AD minus BC. They have minus 1 divided by BC minus AD. It's the same thing, all right? Now, this is something that I want to claim over here that you may say this is a new command. I haven't seen this one before, but factor. And what I want to do is factor. I want to factor A inverse. I want to see what it looks like. All right. Now, someone says, can I do that by hand? Of course you can. We've done inverse by 119. But I'm using my computer now. Let's see what happens. And what it's doing, it's computing the inverse of A, and then it factors in. Well, it didn't do a very good job, did it? It's not too bad. All right, not too bad. They did something there. All right. Now, let's take a look at this one up here. Bool. I want to tell you what bool stands for. Bool stands for Boolean. And George Boole was a mathematician who came up with this system called Boolean algebra. At the time, I don't think he thought it was very important, but he wrote stuff down. And at some point in the future, it did become a very important subject area, Boolean algebra. But basically, it's concerned with the truth of something. And I'm wondering, is the statement that I'm giving you really truthful? All right. So in other words, my question is, you know, I'm wondering, is the inverse of A equivalent to what I said it should be, right? And what did I say it should be? Well, that K times this matrix B over here. Well, let me type that in for you, and I'm going to write that down for you. And we'll say Boolean, right? Boolean. But let me type in something simpler first. I wonder, does 1 equal 2 minus 1? Is that should be true, right? Yeah, it's true. Now, if I did bool 2 cubed, is that the same thing as 2 times 3? And that should be false, by the way. It's false, all right? Let me clear screen. Whoops, I didn't clear screen. There's an error. I typed in the wrong message over there. And let me type this in, bool. And I'm wondering if this statement is true, by the way. Factor A inverse. You can play around with this too, so I wonder if I need to really type that in. Is that the same thing as factor K times B? K is a scalar, by the way. Whoa. You notice what just happened? Another error. Someone says, I wonder what the error is. Well, I see it right away. I mistyped something. It even says it to me. True, as expected. I expected to get true. All right, so what did you learn over here? Well, in Math 119, they gave you a formula for inverse of a 2 by 2. They said it's related to a determinant. And again, a defining feature of a determinant at this point. And then what do? We just simply verified it using a computer algebra system. We didn't do it by hand. We actually verified it by using a computer algebra system. Now, I realize some students say, do I need to use the factor symbol? I don't know. Let's see what happens. All right, let's go back over here. I'm going to clear. I'm going to use the up arrow now to get that command back. And I'm going to get rid of factor. I'm just getting rid of factor. I didn't need to use factor. All right, that's really, really important. All right, really, really important. All right, that you didn't need to use factor. All right, okay, so that covers this out. Again, I know these things that you might say are little tiny pieces. These pieces don't get me anywhere. They do. They're little tiny grains of sand, and these grains of sand will build up to a beachfront in no time at all. But only if you're willing to move forward, by the way. I mean, if you just pick up one grain of sand and say, I'm done, I can't go on anymore, nothing's going to happen. You got to keep moving forward. There's going to be a lot of repetition, though, in this. What I mean by that is you're going to be seeing things like matrices, which we've seen in a couple of different areas at this point, and matrices pop up in Mathelex a lot. You're going to be using them a lot. Inverses, determinants, reduced row echelon form, systems, linear equations, yada, yada, yada. You'll see a lot of that stuff. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you.